That's at this. So you should this.
Yes.
Yeah. But you'll still be around for now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna hear about the third gonna be some formal transition.
Yeah, yeah, swearing in or something.
Yeah. Yes, and that is it, that's really nice. That is absolutely. Fortunately. Decisions.
Yeah, over there. We didn't know they said no. I mean, all of these signs. Well, I think so. But I'm gonna sit down.
Oh, yeah.
No, so that's it, you know, so God, they're just doing, hold on, it's sponsor, as a car,
Well, I do want to bring you down here.
Yes, we still have our signs. Yes.
There's always some way, sign.
She is. But it's gonna go fast.
Just keep you.
Alright, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and call our meeting to order. It is 7:00. We can start with a moment of silence, please. And if we can stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just as a reminder, if you happen to have a cell phone, please make sure that it's off or on silent. City clerk, can you go get a paper roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Williams.
Right.
Reed.
Here.
Stewart. Ross.
Here.
Davis. Branch. And Mayor Snyder.
Here. Do I have a motion to approve of the agenda?
So moved. Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this evening, we are going to start off with a public hearing. I will go ahead and open our public hearing on the proposed brownfield plan amendment. It is 7:01 p.m.
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Debbie Kelly from the Albion EDC. Thank you for having me on your agenda this evening. Just to remind you, Dave Van Heeren from Triterra was here a couple weeks ago and showed you the presentation regarding the big Albion plan, which is ARC's development or the Shipping Development Group, if you will. So just to remind you that you saw that presentation. I do have some extra copies if anyone needs an extra copy this evening. Just to kind of recap, the MEDC is offering the Albion Reinvestment Corporation one final chance to seek state funding, and they offered ARC to apply for a revitalization and placemaking grant of $5 million, which is contingent upon an approved amended brownfield plan, which is why we're here this evening. Just to a recap for the project, it's a redevelopment of 9 parcels that are functionally obsolete as certified by the City of Albion Assessor. It's for 101 to 119 South Superior Street, which is Cass Street all the way to the Bone Theater. The project is a redevelopment of approximately 10,000 square feet of ground floor commercial, retail, and office space. And then also 21 residential apartment units, totaling about 17,000 square feet. So it's a total investment of $11.3 million. 8 new full-time jobs will be created as a result of this project. They have about $858,000 in eligible brownfield activities that we'll be capturing. The life of the brownfield plan will be 16 years with 12 years of capture. The Albion Economic Development Corporation Board, the city DDA boards have both approved the amended brownfield plan for this, for 101 to 119 South Superior, with the next step being this evening, the public hearing that we're holding with your consideration for final approval of the amended brownfield plan. With that, I have joined me this evening Mr. Eric Tankersley. I hope I'm saying that correct, Eric. Eric is the Chief Financial Officer with ARC, also Shaheen Development Group. So I'm going to turn it over this evening to Eric. Eric, if you have a few comments. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Debbie. I'm not so sure I can summarize the project much better than Ms. Kelly has just done. I would like to say that the rehabilitation of the project does include full MEP fire suppression. A new elevator will be installed, as well as all of the environmental remediation and exterior facade work. The expectation for our project would be to start this year with the enclosure of the exterior space being completed prior to the winter months. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any other questions as it relates to the budget, the capital stack, or the project itself before the council. Appreciate you having me this evening.
Any questions for Mr. Tankersley?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Tankersley, I've got a question about if you get this funding that you need, how much closer does that bring you to the total funding that you're going to need to begin development? And the timeframe, you said that you'd be able to start sometime, this be having at least facade stabilized by the winter months of 2026, is that correct?
Correct. So we would envision starting the project sometime in the warmer months this summer. As far as the approval of the brownfield plan, the contingency of that is related to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation's funding of the revitalization and placemaking grant that Ms. Kelly has mentioned this evening. So the MEDC requires local participation in order for their statewide funding and participation to be included with the project. So the solidification of the brownfield plant also ensures that we solidify their $5 million grant for the project. We have bank debt to source $2 million remaining dollars, and that will be for a total of $7 million. And the final $4.3 million would be from investor equity to fully fund the project. So we envision with the MEDC RAP 2.0 grant, which would be facilitated by the approval of the brownfield plan this evening, would fully fund the project.
Okay, great. I know that the project has been a long time coming, and I know for one that I'm excited to see some movement happen towards its development. So what, just to clarify again, with the hopeful approval of the brownfield agreement, this would give you the money that you need to start this project, and it would be 100% shovels in the ground going forward?
Well, what this would do is it would facilitate what I'll call the papering or the final execution of the MEDC RAP grant. And with that, we would then um, have all of the sources of capital in place to commence construction. Yes,
Great, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Any other questions? Councilman Williams?
Yeah, just a further question about the actual project completion horizon. Time wise, when you gonna be complete with it?
I would envision 15 months. So starting this summer should be fall of 2027.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep, Councilman Cross.
Thank you. One more question before you, are there any historic preservation grants that you're eligible for in this?
We did we went down the path of the historic preservation and tax credits. Unfortunately, we were unable to acquire them with the project, which is part of the reason that we're coming before City Council today rather than approximately 12 months ago. We went down the path as deeply as we could, and unfortunately, we're unsuccessful in being able to acquire them.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Alright. Do we have any public comment? Is anybody in the gallery that would like to stand in this last
I
council?
did have a quick question, or am I allowed to?
Well, you can address council.
Oh, okay, okay, I just wanted to verify, was it Albion Reinvestment Corporation or Albion Redevelopment Corporation?
Reinvestment.
Reinvestment, thank you.
Anybody else have to stand and address council? Alright. Any other questions for Mr. Tankersley or our EDC director? Alright. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close our public hearing. It is 7:09 PM. Thank you, Mr. Tankersley, for being with us. Public comment.
Let's do
No.
the resolution.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-06 to approve the brownfield program?
So move.
Support?
Any questions before we vote? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
This.
Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Public comment, if there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council in regard to an agenda item, you may do so at this time. Seeing no movement, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar items?
Support.
In your package, you have the February 17th study session and regular session minutes. Any edits? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Next, we're gonna be asked to approve resolution 2026-13. This is to approve the EDC grant, or the Economic Development Grant Agreement. For our CDBG funding for Beamer, Magnata, and Dean. Motion to approve?
So move.
Is that a support?
Yeah.
Yes. The manager here?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of council and public. In our agenda packet tonight is a proposed grant agreement for the construction of Beamer, Magnata streets, and Dean. This grant is $2,500,000 for a total project cost of $2,809,000, with the city contributing $309,000. City administration encourages council the adoption so that we can get construction underway sometime yet this month. I welcome any questions or comments.
Any questions for city manager here? City clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-10? To award the Beamer Magnata Dean Street Improvement Project to Concord Excavate.
So move.
Support.
Director Grant?
Good evening, council. We took bids for the reconstruction of Beamer Street and Magnata and Dean. Concord Excavating submitted a bid and they came in as the lowest bidder at $2,342,219.35. We've done a lot of work with Concord Excavating over the last few years and been very pleased with their work. So we're happy that all the contractors submitted bids and that Concord was one of them that was the lowest.
Any questions for Director Kern? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Frost,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-11 to award the Dean and Culver Streets improvements to Quality Excavators?
So moved.
Support.
Director Kern?
Quality Excavating was one of the contractors that put in bids along with several others. Their bid came in at the lowest at $1,693,372.50. Quality Excavating is also another local contractor we've done business with over the last few years and been very pleased with their work. Both Concord and Quality have been doing work this past year on the water main projects throughout the city.
Any questions for Director Kern on this item? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Frost,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-12? The resolution to award the Albion Street improvements to Quality Excavators.
So move.
Or. Right.
Again, Quality Excavating was one of the several contractors that submitted a bid. They came in at the lowest, which was $1,835,061.60. So we are happy that all these contractors put in and the local contractors came in at the lowest bids.
Any questions for Director Kern on this one? So Director Kern, I know that you made comment at our study session about dates for projects beginning.
Correct.
April 6th, we will begin on what roads again?
Beamer, Magnata, and Dean. And when I say Magnata and Dean, those are just kind of like wrapping around into Magnata and Dean because those projects are covered under the second contract with Quality Excavating. So Concord is going to start April 6th for the Beamer, Magnata, and Dean. And then at the same time, Quality is going to start on Albion Street on April 6th. Start redoing Albion Street all the way from the bridge directly south to Erie Street.
And then what will begin on June 1st?
June 1st, Quality will then start on the Dean and Hoagland area around McIntosh Park.
Any other questions for Director Kern on this one? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Frost,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve ordinance 2026-02 to amend our noise ordinances?
So move.
Support.
Yes.
Good evening, council, mayor, city manager. Bringing our noise, ordinance 38-30 under chapter 38. Want to bring this to a reasonable standard, meaning, is it logical, is it fair, is it appropriate? There's other municipalities we're familiar with that have brought this language in their noise ordinance. We'd like to do it with ours, just for worst case situations where we've experienced someone in the community who may be targeting their neighbor and calling in noise complaints that our officers are deeming unreasonable and that are not fair, and based on investigation they deem is more targeting their neighbor and kind of weaponizing our department in order to harass them. So certainly won't stop us from responding to calls. It just gives us puts our officers in a better situation to weigh the circumstances and all the variables that are involved in that complaint.
So just so council's aware, so the existing ordinance that we're modifying, the current language is in my opinion, way too vague, and that's probably because it hasn't been touched since 1991. It basically says it's unlawful for any person to make or continue to make or cause any noise that a noise disturbs or injures or endangers the comfort, repose, health, and safety of others within the city. I mean, that could, to an individual, that could be in, I mean, by way of example, I'm one of those people that believes there's no such thing as listening to too much Jimmy Buffett music. My wife would disagree. So I think by adopting a reasonable person standard, we kind of we give it a more objective standard, you know, a reasonable person of normal sensitivity. You know, obviously, I'll give you another example. In Meridian Township, we had two neighbors that lived right next to each other, and one neighbor would it excessively rev a dirt bike with the intent to annoy the neighbor. Now, obviously, that it would annoy a normal person of reasonable sensitivity, whereas the example Chief Fipp used earlier tonight, you know, an air conditioner kicking on, that's just noise. So that was the first modification we made to 38-30. In addition to 38-31, there was language that said the operation of any sound producing instrument in such a manner that's plainly audible at a distance of 50 feet from a building or structure is deemed to be an unnecessary noise. We just deleted that entire paragraph. 50 feet, being able to hear another noise, I mean, that could be anything. You can hear somebody's lawnmower 50 feet away. So that was way too constrictive. So we eliminated that. We put a reasonable person standard in 38-30, and I think this is gonna streamline enforcement for the noises that are genuine nuisances and eliminating people trying to do enforcement for, you know, things that they may be too hypersensitive to.
Any questions for either Chief Phipps or Attorney Travis? Great, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Green, Ross,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Next is our discussion on a potential pilot for housing development. Then the undercarriage.
Addition to portfolio.
Sure.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, and members of council. The administration felt that this warranted careful consideration, and I want to explain what is going on. As you may recall, early last summer, this council dealt with the Washington Gardner pilot and proposed project to convert that school into mixed income housing. And as you know, there was both positive and negative sentiment created by that. However, in this particular case, we have another situation of the school. In your agenda packet, I want to point out Austin School in the aerial photograph. I'll give that to you. About a month and a half ago, the city administration was approached by a company out of Ohio called Pivotal. This company showed interest in redeveloping Austin School for the purpose of mixed use housing, multiple family, and also on that property, building a complete new structure besides the Austin School, which is currently standing. In your agenda packet tonight, we took the pilot ordinance or agreement that we did with Community Housing Network, which is identical here. Because we didn't have a full council tonight, I wanted to take this opportunity to just introduce this concept before your honorable body and our citizens. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Dane Truscott of the Pivotal Group to give a more detailed description of what they intend to do with that school. Now, obviously, we have a tight time frame in that the state of Michigan and the federal government have an April 1st application period. But because of we don't have a full council, the administration felt that it was very critical to have a full council reviewing of this pilot and to answer any questions. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Dane Truscott of Pivotal Group, and he will present in more detail what they're trying to accomplish. Mr. Truscott.
Mayor, council, thanks for having me this evening. Doug, thank you. So my name is Dane Truscott. I'm with Pivotal Housing Partners. We're a multifamily development company based out of Westchester, Ohio. Though we own, operate, and manage approximately 10,000 units over 15 states. In the state of Michigan, we have 12 communities that we currently own and operate. So this project here, we've been working with Doug for the past couple months on it. And I came and spoke a couple weeks ago to the planning commission just to get them up to speed, kind of understanding what it is what the project's about, what we intend to do. So the overall goal would be to take the Austin School building, turn it into 15 units. That would be 3-bedroom units, approximately 1,100 square feet. And then the new structure would be 32 units and has a mix of 1-bedrooms, 2 and 3-bedroom units for 47 units in total. So that's the overall goal of the site plan. And I believe that Doug, did you share with them the site plan that we've got of the property?
No,
But what Doug was speaking about earlier is going through this what we utilize is the LIHTC program, which is low income housing tax credits, to successfully fill our capital stack to make these projects viable. Now, working through MSHDA and to get these projects funded and awarded, one of the kind of critical components of it would be to have some sort of tax statement if you apply the program. So working with Doug, we went back, looked at what you had seen before with Washington Gardener. And so our goal would be to mimic that, is what we'd be asking for with 45 years, that's 7%. And the other thing too is, as Doug has mentioned, we're under, a kind of a strict timeline with the dates that we have to hit, which would be beginning of April. And this would be to submit our application. We submit the application, and then usually in a couple months, we would find out if we've been awarded. So usually about 33 to 40% of the time is kind of what our success rate is once we submit an application, because submitting applications is time intensive, costs money. So really we go after the projects that we think that we would be successful in getting awarded. And as I spoke last time, LVN scores really high for us. So that's why we're at this specific site location where it needs to be at. And for us to do it, this is, like I said before, the pilot is going to be one of the kind of critical elements to getting our score high enough to then be successful in our application.
Councilman Williams?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. The range of your rental rates, where they coming in at?
So right now, when we've looked at it, it's about 30 to 70% is going to be of the AMI, the area median income. And I think it's landing at about, if you did a weighted average, at about 55% of what the area median income would be. Now I got all the information over to the assessor, Dan Curry. I've been in correspondence with him and all of the documentation that he's requested at this point.
In the main building, the Austin School building, you said there were gonna be 3-bedroom units?
Correct. So right now, and again, it's a structure, I've gone through it, the property, both properties are owned by the land bank. And so we've gone over, we've looked, and there's no drawings to date on the building. I believe it was built in 1911. But we went through, did takeoffs, measurements, and the goal would be to do 15 3-bedroom units in that building. And then the new build structure would house 32 units. I had to break down if in the new building, it would be 6 additional 3-bedrooms. And all the 3 bedrooms are about 1,100 square feet. Granted, if we're working in the existing school building, might be a little bit more. This would kind of get it tweaked in. Yeah. There would be 15 2-bedroom units that are 876 square feet and 11 1-bedroom units that are 675 square feet.
Councilman Cross.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Trescott, for being here and for looking at Albion and looking to invest your time and development dollars here. We certainly need the housing. I have a few questions for you about from an initial planning stage of the building, particularly the old building. Have you had an opportunity to do a site evaluation of it yet to understand I guess maybe some of the challenges or hurdles of working in the old building?
Yeah, so I've gone out, toured the building with the land bank, done takeoffs, measurements of that. Pivotal Housing Partners has a track record and has successfully done rehabs. I don't want to say historic rehabs because we didn't utilize the historic tax credit, but they're historic buildings and have rehabilitated those in the past. So that doesn't scare us off. Also, the general contracting company that I anticipate us using also has history of being successful in doing rehab projects as well.
Okay, I've got a few follow-up questions, if it's okay. Thank you very much. So in terms of the, I guess the tenants that you're looking to house, this is for workforce housing, is that correct?
Correct.
In general, any accommodations for seniors at all?
So it is not a senior targeted product, though if we have seniors that apply and qualify, they're welcome in the community.
Okay, great. Then one more question. First of all, we're gonna be looking at is the pilot agreement, and we did look at pilot agreement, of course, for Washington Gardner, as you said yourself, that's kind of the precedent we're using to approach this with. My question to you is, besides the fact that that's what we used before, from an internal standpoint, why does the 7% 45-year seem to work best for Pivotal?
So again, in the scoring metrics, the 45-year gives us a boost for, usually it's a 15-year compliance period for LIHTC. We take it all the way up to 45. As far as the 7%, I would have liked it to have been 5, but 7% was kind of the benchmark that we thought that it could have worked.
Okay, is that what you're discovering? Because I know you said you're out of Ohio, the company's
Yeah, so the company's headquartered out of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I live in Michigan, about 2 hours away. So yeah, that's where they're based out of. Though, like I said before, we're in 15 states, thinking and growing, and have done 12 successful projects in Michigan. We're just wrapping up 2 in Jackson.
So you're nearly, if not a national company then? Okay, one of my considerations, Mr. Trescott, is that, I want to make sure that, yes, we have adequate housing for people who need housing in our community, absolutely. But I also want to make sure that our city is also taken care of under the terms of these agreements. That we can pay for fire and police, utilities, infrastructure, and all that, not only in the next 5 years, but in the next 45 years, it ends up being that long. So my viewpoint, when I look at this and I see a national company like Pivotal asking for 7% for 45 years. And then I look at a small regional company like Community Housing Network, who has asked for the same thing. I see the need more for CHN to have those benefits than maybe for a large national corporation. Does that make sense to you?
I understand your concern, as far as, right, services going, for the residents and the community and cost of that, but we're up against the same constraints based off of the AMI that, Community Housing Network. So we're all playing in the same field at that point, as far as us being able to participate more in that. The costs are what the costs are to construct. And to get these numbers, you know, the rents are gonna be what we're beholden to based off of what HUD allows in the AMI. So once you put those factors in, nobody really has a competitive advantage as you would as a market rate development company.
Sure. Okay, well, I understand that. I'm a business owner too. I understand, these kinds of things, so I understand where you're coming from. And I don't mean to sound combative, I'm just
Yeah.
curious, it's doing my due diligence, right?
Absolutely.
That's the good questions. So you said that you've got a 33 to 40% success rate with getting these, the funds through MISHDA, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's, if you were to take them all and blend it up, that's kind of
Sure.
success rate, because we're competing against other applicants that are going after the same funds.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So with that in mind, though, as we found with the Washington Garden project, maybe, if you don't get these funds, if let's say you get approved for this pilot agreement, but funds don't come through from MISHDA this time around, what does it look like in terms of the property itself and the holding on the property? How long does, or is that something that you work through with the Calvin County Land Bank?
Yes, so yeah, this property is owned by the land bank. I can tell you that we've have projects that were back on round 2 or round 3 because they did not get funded. And I can tell you, if we don't get funded this round, I'll be back in October.
Okay. Mayor, do you mind if I ask our city manager a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
City manager, if you don't mind, I've got a question for you, maybe you could lend some insight. So we, should this approval for a pilot go through, we would have the Washington Gardener project holding out, trying to get money for their project, and then Pivotal for the Austin School project. What does Albion do in that case where we've pushed hard to get Washington Gardener passed for housing there? We've got Austin School coming up. One gets it, one doesn't. They both don't get it. We've still got these properties. Would you lend some insight into some of the things behind that, please?
First of all, the current Austin School is owned by the land bank, and I know that they're still in negotiations. I'm on the phone every other day with Krista, and once again today, when I spoke with her, there's no, I would say, firm sales that have occurred. Usually in these particular cases, a certain segment of our state is identified as being a prime target for mixed use income housing. The Washington Gardener and along with Pivotal are competing for the same tax credits for the same dollars. So it could be that one is more successful than the other. And it could be that this time around Pivotal might be the successful recipient. But until a formal application is filed with the state of Michigan and the federal government, how they score that is, we would not be privy to that until they made their decision. So it could very much be neck and neck in this particular case. If we know that we need workforce housing, whether it happens at Washington Gardner or if it happens here, the administration views that as a good thing. The one thing I am concerned about in this particular case is the time frame. Those applications are due March 1st or April 1st. Today's March 2nd. Without owning the property and we have not seen a formal application filed by Bidwell yet. Of course, they have 30 days to do so. Again, it is difficult to gauge who would the successful recipient be. So I believe that both of those projects have merit. What I like about Austin School is that you have a wonderful structure that meant so much to so many people throughout the years, is in a location that I think that complemented the property, that it would give an economic boost on that corner and in the near vicinity. I think in the case of Washington Gardner, you have a wonderful building that has been kept up by Albion College for so many years that offers again another use for that. As a failsafe, I know of developers in both parts or both properties that would be interested in both in trying to incentivize them. If I don't know if we would have the economic tools like they're reaching out to with state federal tax dollars or credits, I should say. Right? So, in one other thing, in the viewing of what a 7% would be against the value of their investment, in talking to Dan Curry, it's very difficult to say because he's in border review. Right now, March are the assessors' busiest time of the year. His statement was he would not be able to give us anything until he had a free weekend. That's how busy he is. So I anticipate that coming in very soon, but I can't say specifically. The concept was we knew that we would have 3 absent council members, and we felt that this was too important of an issue not to put on the agenda and not to release to our public. So tonight's meeting was designed to give the council and our citizens an introductory of what could be proposed at Austin School.
Okay, great.
So I think we're fortunate that we are being sought at in regards to housing development. We have great potential for hopefully getting one of them approved. And so, like, our city manager said, even like you were kind of getting at, I think, was that what happens if they don't get approved? Well, they apply again. Community housing networks applying again. So they're still trying to get those funds to make this a reality. So there have been other developers as well interested. So I think this is a good time for the city of Albion to be able to move forward with getting some type of workforce housing development within the next few years. So we want to be very supportive of the developers who are coming and working with not only the county land bank, but as city manager said, with our administration, to get all the information to them, to the assessor, so that they can put the best foot forward in their application. So I'm sure that we will continue to have discussions on this, and Attorney Harkness, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But this has to be put into a resolution to approve, which needs 2 readings.
An ordinance.
An ordinance.
2 readings.
Yes, an ordinance to approve for 2 readings, so more than likely we'll have to have a special meeting so that we can give them the opportunity to have this in place to get to meet their deadline of April 1st.
Thank you for that, and forgive the millions of questions I have, but I've given these kinds of things lots of thought, and I'm very supportive of housing and developing housing, and I really do think what programs like yours do is important for Albion and Michigan, and I think that we need that. Again, I just wanna make sure that, you know, from a financial standpoint, for the long-term health of our community, that we're putting ourselves, you know, as beneficiaries in the best possible way in these agreements. One of the things that you brought up, Mayor, that I'd like to ask about is that if we, and actually, Mr. Truscott, you might have more experience with this, you might in here, is that if the city of Albion puts forward 2 pilots for MISTA to consider, does MISTA look at that and say, oh, well, I can choose one or the other, or do they look at that and they see that as some kind of internal competition? Or do they, how is that viewed by MISTA if the city has 2 pilot agreements out for the same kind of money at the same time? I mean, what I also don't want us to do is I don't want MISTA to look at us and say, what is Albion doing? And bypass us completely. Does that make sense? Does anyone
I can tell you, that when the QAP, the Qualified Allocation Application Plan comes out and it has the different scoring criteria, there'll be certain spots that call the hot spots that they will score very, very high. Last round in Muskegon, there were a lot of LIHTC developers in Muskegon chasing after areas in, you know, there some of the spots, I mean, the other side of the street doesn't work, this side of the street does work. And so that's, you know, there's 6, 7 of them going after the same thing at a time. So, and they're all chasing after the same type of requirements as well.
Okay, so it wouldn't be problematic, is what you're saying. Okay, well, that's good, that's a good thing. Okay, thank you very much.
Councilman Woods.
Thank you. In the scenario that you just referenced, where the state has identified a place of major concern where they need more housing, they're desperately in need of housing. The state also allows municipalities to use this system, the pilot, to fund these projects to offset the cost over time of what these projects actually cost. There's also a partnership between the local municipality and the developers, meaning we as a city, we're in need of affordable housing due to the income levels here in our community, the AMI. This allows us to not have to personally take on ownership of developing new properties or redeveloping properties like the Austin School that has been sitting there blighted for the majority of my life. I'm 42 years old. I've never seen the school open. And I walked past that school, walking to Washington Gardner for multiple years. And like I said, it's been vacant that entire time. With that being said, if the city had the burden of having to redevelop that property, it will cost us a lot. It'll be a lot of red tape and the bureaucracy at play as to who's going to do it and what the outcome of it would be. Whereas the land bank owns the property and the Pivotal Group is making a valid effort to redevelop the property. So the time frame and the overall vision for what the property could be, you guys already have worked out substantial amount of documentation and just site maps and site plans of what that's going to look like overall. What the pilot and what you're asking for is for us basically to just partner with you all to ensure that it's affordable for you to address the need of our citizens here in the community. I don't want that to be overlooked in the discussion because we could look past the fact that, yes, they're asking for a 45-year pilot. The 45-year pilot guarantees that the people at this income level don't get displaced from the city in that time frame. I'm not sure if you went to Austin School.
I'm a little bit older than you. I remember Austin School very well. It was a beautiful school, and inside, even after it was closed as a school, it was purchased by a church that added there. It was beautiful then. Hopefully you will get it and get it back to being usable.
Yeah, so to that point, I would love to see the building redeveloped, that corner redeveloped as well. And to see something good come of one of our blighted and eyesore properties here in the community.
And I live about a half block from it. It's a good neighborhood.
Thank you. No, we're excited and hopefully, we can be successful.
Alright, any other questions? Well, we appreciate you being with us this evening to give us information on this pilot. So like we had said, this will come to council at least 2 more times for discussion. And if we have further questions, we'll make it ask.
Perfect. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alright, future agenda items. Anything would you like to see at our upcoming meeting? Public comments, so if there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand and address council, we may do so at this time.
Good evening, Mayor Snyder. Good evening, council. My name is Cody Boughton. My wife and I, Chrissy Pye, live at 302 East Broadwell Street in Precinct 1. I'm here tonight regarding the city's mandatory water meter replacement program and a situation that occurred in my home. Prior to the scheduled meter change, our water line was fully operational. There were no leaks, no service interruptions, and no known defects. During the removal of the existing meter by city personnel or its contractor, the water line broke. We were informed that the city was not responsible and were instructed to hire a plumber at our own expense. We were left without water service until this was completed. The repair cost $250. We were then told that we needed to call the city back once the line had been fixed to have them reinstall the meter. Also important, this city told me that the city employee had told me that this had happened at least 3 other houses. This raises a serious concern. This is a mandatory city program. Homeowners do not select the contractor. We do not control the method of removal. We do not supervise the work. The line was intact prior to the city work that was performed. The damage occurred during the work. The question is not simply who owns the pipe. The question is, when damage occurs during a mandatory city operation, how is liability determined? For our household, $250 was frustrating and manageable. However, we lived in Precinct 1, the lowest income precinct in Albion. For many residents in our neighborhood, an unexpected $250 plumbing repair is not a minor inconvenience. It could mean choosing between utilities, groceries, and rent. And if this occurs during winter months and residents cannot afford immediate repair, the result means water shutoffs during freezing conditions. This is a public health and safety concern. We are asking council to clarify the governing liability when damage occurs during mandatory meter replacement. Review when safeguards or cost sharing mechanisms should be in place when damage occurs during city performed work. Consider the economic impact of this program on lower income tenants. If this is happening in multiple parts of the city, this is not an isolated incident. It is a systematic risk within the implementation of this program. We compiled this, we complied with city mandate. We're simply asking for fairness, transparency, and a policy review to ensure residents are not financially penalized for damage occurs during municipal work. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Anybody else want to see it in the rest? Alright. City manager report.
Yes, Madam Mayor, there's a couple things I want to bring up. Council, it would be,
Please. Right. Very good. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So move.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Frost,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Meeting adjourned for closed session from PM.
Members of council, I want to give you our, monthly report, Director for. One of the things that, as we approach spring, we're getting teased a little bit. As you know, by today it was, what, 27 degrees, or it got warmer than that, yesterday it was 27, but sunny. One of the things that we're experiencing is we're going through the spring fall process. And what that brings is the instability of the subsurface of the earth when that occurs. And one of those things that happens is that we develop potholes. Potholes usually start from the bottom up. So I've asked Director Kern to give a slight, just a short report on what we're doing in the pothole restoration area, and also talk about leaves. We did purchase a machine, as you know, it's under repair, and I want him to report to our citizens. We have not forgotten about leaves, we're still working on it, but if you could, Director Kern, did you give council and our citizens an update where we're at on both those issues?
Sure. So when it comes to the potholes, we've been having crews go out and put down cold patch. Cold patch is a very temporary solution. It is probably my least favorite. It does not last. So what we're going to do is we've been putting together a schedule to where we can look to alter our work hours, because we want to get the mastic machine back out and start using that. But we found that it's very labor intensive. It takes about 8 guys to run it. By the time you have the entire crew, it's about eight guys to do it. And the traffic controls, what we found too, is we're running into issues. So when we go to do Erie Street, we're going to come in probably really early in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, and do it, or work overnight. And so we're trying to get our schedules to align just right to where we can plan to do that. And that way it disrupts traffic the least amount, and we can get out there and get the most done without having to worry about traffic. So we'll continue to use the cold patch until the asphalt plants open up around April-ish sometime. And then we can start doing more of the hot patching, which lasts a lot longer. We're also going to use our milling machine that we have on our Bobcat with the mastic patcher to get rid of some of these issues. With the leaf machine, last year, when the guys we got a little bit of a warm spell and we were able to start going back at it again. 2 things we found. We got extremely overwhelmed, even with that new machine, the used one that we bought. We still got overwhelmed. I could have a crew running 7 days a week, and it's just 2 guys that are doing it, and it'll take me months to catch up. The amount of leaves was overwhelming. So what happened was we think it either picked up a chunk of asphalt or something, and it, instead of when it went through the tube and went into the propellers that make the suction, the clutches were supposed to disengage. So that way it would just stop the wheel from spinning, the lights would go off, and we'd be able to dislodge it. That did not happen. The guys weren't even using it. They had just got done doing a pile. They were turning a corner, and all of a sudden it completely broke down and broke the bell housing, broke the starter off of it. I mean, it was a catastrophic failure. I originally got the repair estimate and it was going to be $26,000, and I was like, "There's no way. I can't come to the council for $26,000 on a machine we just bought, put 50 hours on." I worked with them and got it down to about 14,000, and it's going to be about 6 weeks before it's back up and running. With that, we're just going to go back to old school of using the blowers and the brooms on the tractors to push it off into the streets. I looked at other communities like Marshall. They've been doing the same thing. They've just been pushing into the roadways and then scooping up with buckets, putting it in dump trucks, and then hauling it to the tree dump. So we're going to start on that. We're looking to do that this week, along with having pulling crews out of the cemetery and parks department to do the patching. But we it's gonna be good well into May, June before we actually get all the leaves cleaned up. And then we're gonna have to try to figure out a strategy for next year.
Right.
So,
I don't wanna put you on the spot. In our conversation. Are there equipment out there that we could rent? Because I know that there's a lot of property owners, homeowners that are frustrated. Winter came too soon for.
yes,
Is there a possibility we can look into?
we
that?
can, but it's a lease to own. A lot of them aren't leasing or aren't renting the leaf vacs anymore. They just, there was no profit in it, so what they're doing is like a lease to own. I did get some figures on that. The machine that we had originally ordered, which is much bigger, is still not scheduled to be delivered until June or July, if that. So I can get one tomorrow, but I have to sit down with Finance Director Clark and see if that's even doable. The figures I got was about 88,000 per year, and it's a lease to own. So I'm kind of stuck right now. And so in the meantime, till we can figure out a long-term solution, we're gonna go back to just kind of pushing them off with blowers and everything, getting them up in the streets and then picking them up.
I think from the administration standpoint, the worst scenario is that we're still picking up last year's leaves.
Yes,
When we start picking up this year's leaves.
I agree.
And I think that that will lend itself to a lot of frustrated citizens.
Mhm.
I think we need to focus and try to do everything we can to minimize that.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're gonna do our best. It's just, we got dumped on pretty hard, and then it froze and snow. And we were plowing leaves up into the right of way again, and it was a mess.
You know, I do want to extend my sincere thanks for yours, your staff, your supervisors, for all the hard work they do. I know I'm out there every day seeing them and how hard they work, and I'm very appreciative. I know our citizens are appreciative of all the efforts that
Thank you.
you've made, and speaking on behalf of council, they're appreciative too.
Thank you.
So, and I want to extend also to Aaron and to David and the other staff, how appreciative we are of all the work. I know that we had a situation yesterday, handled professionally, handled without any injury, and so we're blessed to have you and your staff take such good care of us. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. That's all I have for you.
Yeah. Councilmember comments. Just a reminder that we have our town hall this coming Thursday night, at the Opportunity High School. This is more information on upcoming road construction. Getting updates on our dam removal projects, so we'll have several individuals available to help answer residents' questions. I know that a lot of folks get a little impatient when there is some inconveniences when trying to get from one end of town to the next. So having insight and information before we start doing more road construction, it's only gonna help alleviate some of that frustration. So if you are able to spread the word, please do so. Especially, you know, if it's just seeing people on the streets, reminding them, or social media, whatever works, let's take a look. Councilman Frost,
Hey, Mary, is that in the library?
it's in the library, yes. Councilman Wins.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to the city staff for their participation, along with Nancy Doyle on the Arts Commission in receiving $16,000 in grant funding from the MEDC,
No,
state
yes,
Arts Council.
the Michigan Arts Council.
Michigan Arts Council. Yeah, definitely, I know that board has been operating for a while. They're now starting to see some funding coming in. So they'll be able to do and provide more services to the community. And we all enjoy the arts, so I just want to say thank you and congratulations. Bill helped us out a lot with that.
Any other council member? Do I have a motion to excuse Mayor Pro Tem French, Councilwoman Davis, and Councilman Stewart?
So move.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Or. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Being adjourned 8:27 PM. Thank you all.
Everybody have a great week.